I consulted Lungu family before running for president. Makebi reveals shocking details. Few statements have shaken Zambia's political scene quite like this one. Makebi Zulu, one of the most vocal defenders of the Lungu family, has just revealed he consulted them before deciding to contest the presidency. Why does this matter? Because it reopens the biggest question haunting the Patriotic Front. Who truly holds the power, the party, or the Lungu family? Tonight, we unpack what Makebi's revelation really means for PF's leadership battles, for 2026, and for Zambia's fragile opposition unity. Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of the InspirAfrica official. I'm Nakash. You know, it's been quite a week here in Southern Africa, and we've been following a story that just keeps getting more intriguing by the day. Today, we bring you something truly remarkable from Zambia. Our lead story. A lawyer who became the keeper of a dead president's secrets has just made a revelation that's sending shockwaves through Zambian politics. Picture this: a nation still reeling from one of the most bitter burial disputes in modern African history. A former president lying unburied in a foreign morgue for 5 months. Political tensions so thick you could cut them with a knife. And at the center of it all, one man, Makebi Zulu, who has transformed from legal spokesperson to presidential candidate, all while holding the remains of his former boss hostage in South Africa. But here's where the story takes an astonishing turn. In a podcast interview that has set Zambian social media ablaze, Makebi Zulu has revealed something that many are calling either brilliantly strategic or disturbingly opportunistic. Before declaring his bid for the presidency of the Patriotic Front, he sought the blessing of Edgar Lungu's family. The same family whose patriarch still lies unburied. The same family locked in legal warfare with their own government. The same family that Makebi represents as their lawyer and spokesperson. So let me ask you this. What happens when grief becomes a political weapon? When does loyalty cross the line into calculated ambition? Can a man serve two masters, the dead and his own presidential dreams? And perhaps most troubling of all, has Makebi Zulu been orchestrating the burial impasse all along to fuel his political ascent? Is this consultation with the Lungu family a touching display of respect, or the most audacious political maneuver Zambia has seen in years? The revelation came to light during an appearance on Emmanuel Mwamba's podcast this Monday, November 11, 2025, when lawyer Makebi Zulu sat down for what would become one of the most discussed political interviews in recent Zambian history. Let's establish the context. Edgar Lungu, Zambia's 6th president, passed away on June 5, 2025, in South Africa. But here's where the story takes its first unusual turn. 5 months later, his body remains unburied, caught in an extraordinary impasse between the Zambian government and the Lungu family. Makebi Zulu, a prominent lawyer and former Eastern Province minister who lost his Malambo constituency seat in 2021, had positioned himself as the family spokesperson. He became the voice of the Lungu family during this protracted burial dispute, navigating complex legal and diplomatic waters. During this period, the burial controversy drew in continental heavyweights. Former Malawian President Bakili Maluzi attempted mediation. Graca Machel, the widow of Nelson Mandela and former First Lady of both Mozambique and South Africa, reached out personally to former First Lady Esther Lungu. Prince Estefanos Matuz, President of the African Royal Assembly, even offered his plane to repatriate the body. Yet the impasse continued, and Makebi remained at the center of it all. Then, just days ago, on November 11th, Makebi filed his K200,000 expression of interest fee at the PF Secretariat in Lusaka, officially entering the race for the Patriotic Front presidency. The filing came just 3 days after his return from South Africa, where he had been overseeing the remains of his late mentor. His arrival at the PF Secretariat was theatrical. He was received warmly by senior PF members including Mumbai Fairai, Nkandu Luo, and Godfrida Sumeli. He wore black. He invoked Lungu's name repeatedly. And he made his pitch. He was the custodian of the Lungu legacy, the man who would give President Lungu a dignified burial and carry forward his unfinished vision. But it was during the podcast interview that the most revealing moment came, when Emmanuel Mwamba asked him directly, "Did you consult the former First Family over your decision to contest the party presidency?" Makebi Zulu's response was unequivocal. Let him speak in his own words. It would be naive of me to come to a decision to participate in the political discourse without consultation with the family, Makebi explained during the interview. As a matter of fact, that ordinarily ought to be the first thing to do, and that is exactly what was done. He didn't stop there. Elaborating on his approach, Zulu continued, I sat down with the family, explained my intentions, and asked for their blessing. The lawyer described this family approval as deeply personal and affirming. Their belief in me strengthened my resolve. This is about honoring President Lungu's legacy, his fight for democracy, for the rule of law, and for institutions that serve the people. But perhaps the most telling moment of the interview came from an unexpected source. A caller to the program, identified only as Mama T from Lusaka, made a statement that has since reverberated across Zambian social media. In a brief but emotional contribution, she said, "If he can take care of a dead man, then surely he can take care of us who are living." The statement, as one observer noted, represented a profound reality about a man who is not only reliable and loyal, but also faithful and consistent. Makebi himself has repeatedly positioned his candidacy around this central theme. Speaking at the PF Secretariat during his filing, he stated, "We will give President Lungu a dignified burial." The former president's remains would only be repatriated to Zambia once President Hakainde Hichilema publicly commits to staying away from the funeral and delegates Vice President Mutal Nalyamango to represent the government at the ceremony. His campaign message is clear and consistent. Makebi has positioned himself as custodian of the Lungu legacy, as one political analyst observed. His line, "We will give President Lungu a dignified burial," was a coded promise to the PF family that he will restore the old order. But not everyone sees this as noble loyalty. Critics have been harsh and direct. One commentator writing for the Zambian Observer put it bluntly, "The lingering burial impasse of the late former President Edgar Lungu has stirred not only public emotion but also serious political speculation. At the heart of the controversy stands prominent lawyer and politician Makebi Zulu. The argument is that he may have used his influence to create a political narrative that paints him as a defender of the Lungu legacy. A narrative that conveniently aligns with his current ambitions to lead the PF and potentially contest the 2026 presidential election." Another editorial was even more scathing. Makebi Zulu has entered the PF presidential race with a message anchored on one man, Edgar Lungu. His filing at the PF Secretariat was not just administrative. It was choreography. He arrived in black. He invoked Lungu's name. This revelation, and the broader political theater surrounding it, raises profound questions about the nature of political succession in Zambia and the commodification of grief in contemporary African politics. From one perspective, Makebi's consultation with the Lungu family could be seen as an honorable gesture. In Zambian political culture, where respect for elders and established hierarchies runs deep, seeking family blessing before pursuing leadership might be viewed as appropriate deference. His supporters argue that this shows humility, respect, and genuine concern for continuity rather than rupture. Mumbai Fairai, one of the senior PF members who greeted Makebi at the Secretariat, appears to support this view, offering what observers call a soft endorsement of his candidacy. Archbishop Alec Banda, a cleric with deep roots in the PF political machine, has also provided backing that strengthens Makebi's position, particularly in Eastern Province. Political analysts note that Makebi commands emotion, money, nostalgia, and Lungu family blessing. The popular option for cadres. Within the PF internal structures, this strategy appears to be working. He's positioned as one of only two serious contenders for the party presidency, alongside Brian Mundable. But from another angle, the entire episode looks deeply troubling. Critics point out that Makebi has been the family spokesperson throughout the burial impasse, a role that has kept him in the public eye for 5 months while the nation watches and waits. Former President Bakili Maluzi, who withdrew from mediation efforts, expressed what many see as disappointment at how intractable the Lungu family and Makebi has been. One editorial captured the skepticism perfectly. Makebi Zulu, leveraging his closeness to the former president, seems to have seen an opportunity, a political vacuum ripe for exploitation. Currently, Zulu is banking on public sympathy surrounding the delayed burial of ECL to gain traction among voters who may not fully grasp the political games at play. The charge is serious, that Makebi has deliberately prolonged the burial impasse, maintained the family's hardline stance, and used the resulting public sympathy as a launch pad for his political ambitions. The timing certainly raises eyebrows. He files for the PF presidency just days after returning from South Africa, at a moment when public attention on the burial dispute is at its peak. The legal and ethical questions multiply when you consider his dual roles. As family spokesperson and lawyer, Makebi had a fiduciary duty to represent the family's interests in the burial dispute. But as a political candidate, he had a personal interest in maintaining public attention and cultivating his image as Lungu's loyal heir. Can these roles coexist without conflict? Did his political ambitions influence his legal advice to the family? There's also the broader question of what this means for Zambian democracy. One commentator put it sharply: Zambia does not elect presidents to bury former leaders. It elects presidents to fix the future. Another noted, the era of sympathy votes and emotional slogans is fading fast. Citizens are now more focused on pragmatic leadership, individuals who can tackle unemployment, economic hardship, corruption, and inequality. Cultural tensions have also emerged. One critic, Lillian Matambo, went so far as to say, "It's a taboo in our Zambian culture to even shake hands with Makebi Zulu or moving about with Lungu unburied." This reflects a deep unease with what some see as the politicization of death and mourning. The PF party itself faces a crucial decision. As one analysis noted, PF must now decide what it wants to become. A restructured political institution capable of contesting 2026, or a resurrected version of its old self rebuilt around sentiment and nostalgia. Perhaps most damning is this observation. Makebi's entire political platform seems to rest on one man's legacy, rather than his own vision. He speaks the language cadres understand. That makes him electrifying within PF but limiting outside it. Many of the voters who rejected Lungu in 2021 did so partly because of cadre violence and patronage politics. Makebi is leaning into that very model. As one editorial concluded, loyalty is a political currency in PF. But loyalty is not a national manifesto. Until Makebi defines a value proposition beyond sentiment and funeral politics, his message will energize cadres but fail the national test. The question remains, is Makebi Zulu's consultation with the Lungu family a sign of respect and proper protocol? Or is it the most calculated political move in recent Zambian history, transforming a family's grief into a presidential campaign? Well, viewers, there you have it. The shocking revelation from Makebi Zulu that he consulted the Lungu family before entering the presidential race. A confession that has split opinion and raised more questions than it answers. Is this loyalty or opportunism? Respect or exploitation? The continuation of a legacy or the commodification of grief? Thank you so much for watching today's edition of InspirAfrica Official. This is exactly the kind of story that demands your perspective, your wisdom, and your voice. So I want to hear from you in the comments below. Do you believe Makebi Zulu's consultation with the Lungu family was appropriate and honorable? Or do you see this as a calculated political move? Can someone truly honor a deceased leader while using their unburied body as a political platform? And what does this say about the future of Zambian democracy? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's have this conversation because these questions matter, not just for Zambia, but for all of us watching political transitions across Africa. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories, more analysis, and more of the conversations that shape our continent. Until then, take care of yourselves, stay informed, and keep thinking critically about the politics that affect all our lives. This is Nakash, signing off from InspirAfrica Official. God bless, and see you in the next one.